Hey friends, welcome back to the channel, and if this is your first time stopping by, welcome. My name is Catrice and I'm happy you're here. So today's video we are going to tackle this bin of fabric scraps that I have. I want to see how many patterns I can come up with. They're going to be patchwork type patterns for some different tote bag designs. So we're going to start out here at the cutting table, and we're just going to dive right into the video. Okay, so here's the bin of fabrics that I want to go through, and I have a fabric color palette in mind. Since we're in summer, I'm going to go with all pastels and keep the darker colors. I'm going to put those to the side and just kind of go with a lot of summery vibe type patterns, unless I want to use the darker colors for maybe like the lining or something, like these burgundies the solid burgundy, that would be a good choice for a lining. But anything that is orange polka dot and this green, these colors will make it into the, and this one is actually pretty, but it's got fall leaves on it, so I don't know. We'll put this to the side as to think about. We may end up needing it. And then I've got these here. And what I'm going to do is just kind of dump everything out, and I may speed this part up because this can kind of be a little bit boring to sit here and watch me go through a lot of fabrics. But we will speed this part of the frame up, and then we will get to the cutting. I do know that I would like to be able to cut each square. If I can't get 5 by 5 squares, at least 3 by 3, because this is a 5 by 5. So I like I like sewing this size as opposed to trying to sew something that is going to be, like more like this, kind of like teeny tiny. So we will sit here and do that. Okay, I think I'm going to stop here and just work with this stack because that's a good mixture of patterns and colors that can make a really nice tote bag. And as I was sitting here going through all of this, these are going to be truly what you would call one of a kind because I'm using scraps, and there's only going to be one, unless I get lucky and can make more than one bag out of some of these, or maybe keychain wallets out of some of these, because some of the squares were a little larger, but then most of them were sort of small squares. So we're going to go over to the craft table and start sorting all of this out and see, can we put what I call a puzzle, make about a couple of rows and columns of the squares. You know what, actually I think I'm going to go ahead and cut them down first to the size that I would like for them to be in, and then we will head over to the craft table. So let's just go ahead and move this out of the way, and let me get my little handy dandy cutter, and I got my little cutting ruler, and I am going to start with, I think what I'm going to do is sort of put likes with likes together. So, like the pink family together, green, blues, no matter what pattern it is. I just try and do like a color combo. I can't even talk today. Do a color combo situation. Like for instance, this is what I would call the orange family. So we will do that, and I'm just going to put teals and blues together, yellows. So like this would be the yellow, and then we've got the blues over here, and I think I'm going to yeah, I'll do this as a teal color. And then put the blues here. And I think that will help me sort of, you know, reel this in a little bit as far as making choices. Now, some of these I don't know what I was doing, but anyway, I started sewing a few of these together, it looks like a while back, and I guess I stopped, I don't know. But since this has a larger pink portion, I'm going to just put it here, and I can always go back and get my little seam ripper and just take that stitch out. So we'll put that there. Got some purples. I'm trying to keep all of this in frame for you guys, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. Let's start the blue. So I'm just going to speed the camera up here, and then we'll be ready to start cutting. Okay, we've got our stacks. We have the teal and the orange, green, pink, lavender, yellow, and a little bit of blue. I took these out because I didn't really have nowhere to code these to, so this will go in the bin for something else. So now it is time to trim these into individual squares. All right, so we've got the pink panels all together, and I've got 3 rows down and 3 columns across. In the back is going to look identical to the front because I've got 2 panels of each square that I'm going to be cutting. And while I was doing this, I was thinking about the handles. So I have this pink left over, so I may make these straps out of this. Or I think I might experiment and see what it would look like with the strap, with the rope type straps. I think that'd be cute and different. So either way, we'll have straps. So let me go ahead and cut these squares. Yeah, I'll go ahead and cut these squares. Some are going to be 5 by 5. Some looks like they're going to be 4 by 4. But we are going to make it work because we are using only scraps. All right, so I'm going to get these cut, and then we'll be ready to start sewing. And I just put these like that so I don't lose my space to where I am, my space to where I'm getting ready to cut. I'm trying to find my ruler. Oh, here it is. Lost my little ruler. All right, so we're going to start cutting. All right, I think we are good to go. So let me go ahead and put these back on the cutting table. I'm going to take these over to the craft table, lay these out because I lost my pattern as I was cutting. but that's okay. So we can restructure everything. And while I was cutting, I was thinking about the strap. So I'm going to go ahead and use the rope, because I'm curious to see how that's going to turn out. Because these bags are going to be, little small type bags. So just enough to carry a book or maybe like a Bible tote, something like that. So we're going to head up to the craft table and let's lay these out. Okay, so I have everything all evenly pressed, and now what I'm going to do is go ahead and trim the squares so they can all be the same size, and I won't have such a time at trying to sew them evenly. And I've got this first row done here. So this, I don't know if I'm in frame or not, but this section is going to be the front panel, and then this is the back panel, and they're actually identical, so it doesn't really matter. But I've got the squares trimmed down to 4x4s, and I'm just going to sit here and do the rest of them. And this is a self-healing mat. It's by the Kimberbell brand that I'm using. So I'm just going to sit here and put these all at 4x4. Most of them were pretty much sized kind of weirdly, so I had to go ahead and trim them down. Now my goal for doing this is to use up my scraps, so I have to be mindful and not try and save little things like this, because then my scrap bin would never go back down. So I'm just going to get this done, and I'll probably speed up the camera on this part as well so we can get to the fun part of actually sewing these together and trying to see how this bag is going to turn out. Okay, so these are all trimmed down to 4x4 squares, and I'm going to switch up this order just a little bit. And then when I go to sew the back portion, I'm going to do that off camera and get that cut, not sewn, get it cut, and then come back on camera and we'll be ready to sew the squares together. But for as far as the pattern goes, I think I'm satisfied with this look right here. Yeah, I think that looks cute. Okay. All right, everything is all trimmed and ready for me to start sewing. And ooh, this is so cute. It turned out so adorable. I love this pattern combination. So I've got the front pattern and the back pattern. And I think I am going to keep it simple and do a white lining, or maybe a light pink lining. Probably do a white lining. So I'm going to go to the machine and just go ahead and sew these together. And what I'm going to do is one panel and then the second panel. So basically you just want to take, let me start at the bottom so y'all can see. You just want to take your first square, flip it over, stitch down this line here, and then you'll open it back up. Take this one on the far end, flip it over, stitch down, and then open it back up, and you'll have your first row all stitched out. And we're going to do that for each row that we have. So just flip it over, stitch down, open that back up, take this one on the end, flip it over, stitch down, open it back up, and then you have your row. And we're going to do that for the front and the back panels, and then I'll go ahead and do the lining. And when I come back on camera, we'll be ready to insert the lining, and we're going to figure out the strap situation. And then this bag will be complete. Pretty easy sew. So I'll be back in a couple of seconds. Okay, we are almost finished. So now I've got the panels all sewn together, and that's how that turned out. And the next step is to put it on the batting, and I'm just using some cotton batting like that. So we're going to put the panel on the batting and get this pinned in place. And I decided to go ahead and use the white lining for the inside of the tote bag and keep it kind of simple since we have all of this going on. But this turned out to be scraps. I am impressed. Turned out really nice. So let me turn this around and get this pin. Now for the straps, this is going to be an experiment for me because I've never used rope before with my straps. So we're going to see how that turns out. And I really want it to work, so hopefully it turns out right. All right, so we have this ready. What I'm going to do is go to the sewing machine, and I'm just going to stitch down, quilt down the already sewn lines where the squares are sewn together. And I'm going to do that on both panels. Put that to the side, and then this is I'm going to sew the lining. So basically, I'm going to, before I start sewing, go ahead and cut my box corners out and then sew down and across, leaving about 3 inches to pull the outer fabric lining through. And I'm going to box the corners on the quilted panels as well. Now, for these straps, this is what I'm looking at. This is just some rope. This is cotton, and then this is more of a synthetic material. I think I'm leaning towards the cotton because I made this little tray a while back using this cotton rope, and I like how this feels. I like how it turned out. This is a more slippery something, so I may not use that. In my thought process, and hopefully it's where it's going to be a short handle because it's going to be a small little book tote. Maybe something like that on each side. So we'll see. And I think I may have to, when I get to the top of the fabric, when it's time to sew the straps on, I may have to go and make, I don't know, we'll see. I'll show this on camera. I got get my brain cells together on the straps. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and do the lining and go ahead and get the outer panels quilted, and then we will come back and start assembling the bag. This is what we have after I sewed the batting onto the front panel. So we have this, and I've got the lining all sewn, and now I'm just ready to get started with these straps. So we are going to turn this right side out and make sure everything is sewn right. Punch the corners out. Make sure nothing was missed. So that looks good. Oh, this is going to be so cute. All right. Now, what we want to do is put the lining on. So you want to leave the lining inside out. And this lining is white, so there's no front or back to it. But anyway, you want to leave it inside out. So basically, pretty sides are touching pretty sides. Now we want to put it inside the lining, and I'm going to clip it all the way around the top. So you want to start with your side seams to make sure that your lining lines up with the outer pockets. So that way when you go to flip it right side out, it'll look nicely with your seams lined up. And we left that bottom open, so we're going to pull, when it's time, we'll pull the outer fabric through. Let me just get this tucked in. Oh, you know what? I completely forgot about my straps. All right, so let's take this back out. And we're going to lay the bag flat. Make sure the seams are accurate. Alrighty, now we are going to work with these little straps and see I'm thinking about, yeah, because I want it to be just kind of like not a shoulder, but just a hand held. So let's go with, and this is unraveling. Let me just cut this off because it's just going to unravel until I sew it. All right, so let me clip this. And we're going to clip it like, hopefully this stays in place until I get to the machine. All right, and then maybe this. And I'm kind of just eyeballing this. That is cute. I'm gonna make it just a little bit taller. Just a smidgen. Okay. Now let's see what we have. Okay, let me get in frame so it'll be kind of like that. Bring you guys up just a little bit. All right. Okay, so yeah, I think that'll be cute. Yeah, I like that. And you know, this is so cute. It can be used for just some little on-the-go diapers. Don't necessarily have to be books. Kind of be anything, actually. So I'm going to cut this off. Make sure I don't cut my bag. And then I'm just going to measure it. And I'll leave the exact measurements in the description box, but this strap looks like about 11 inches. All right, so let's put this here. And then when we go to sew, the lining is going to catch all of this. When we do a top stitch around the bag, it'll catch all of that. All right, so that is what we have. And then we're going to put this one. And you want to make sure you line these up so that, you know, they won't be, it'll hang properly. But if you don't get it lined up, it's okay. Not the end of the world. It'll be all right. All right, so now what I'm going to do is put the lining in. Okay, so that's what we have. Now it's time for the lining, and you just want to slip it on without disturbing your handles. So I'm just gonna put my hand in and go like that, and put that on the end. Put the handles in the inside. So this is what you should end up with. The entire bag should be inside the lining. And you want your handles on the inside like that. Now when you go to clip it, you want to start with the side seams first. So you want to match your side seams up like that. And then clip it. Go to the other side, make sure it is matched up, and clip it. And then you can go around the bag and clip if you need to. This is such a tiny little bag. I don't really have to go around and clip. I just put one here so you guys can get a visual. If this was one of those larger bags that I normally do, I would put clips all the way around. So, all right. So now I'm gonna go to the machine. I'm going to sew around the top, and then I'm going to go ahead and pull the outer fabric through the hole that we left. So you just want to go through here and just pull it all the way out, and then you want to do a top stitch, and I'll show you that when I come back on camera. But when I come back on camera, the bag will be finished. So I'm just going to top stitch this all the way around, pull it out, and then do a top stitch on the outside, and I'll show you that. All right, so we'll be right back. Okay, so I just finished sewing everything up. I closed the bottom end and I did the stitch around the top, and this is the inside, and this is just adorable. I love how it turned out. Very, very cute. And I like the ropes. I've never done ropes before on a tote bag, so that is how that turned out, and I absolutely love it. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you are not a subscriber, consider subscribing to the channel. I would really appreciate it. And until next time, guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye.